Chapter 9 Vigilante Justice. The airship docking facility was a plush, opulent room extending deep into Canterhorn. Its floor was covered in thick red carpet. Its walls were painted with fantastic murals depicting the history of equestrian flight. And even the ceiling had been glamored to give the appearance of an open sky. Excepting a few small cabinets on stools for its sides and a series of maintenance catwalks in the ceiling, the entirety of the room was devoted to two massive empty bays for airships. There were two lanes for airships to park in, the lane between them composed of a single row of tall, ornamental columns, almost reached the height of the catwalks. Each column had carved into a famous figure in the pioneering of equestrian aerial glory. Wonderbolts like Purple Heart and Firefly, mages like Star Swirl and Red Magician, and industrialists like airship lines like Bobby Fischer. And also on top of each column was a pony. There were a lot of ponies on those columns. Raindrops couldn't help but stare at the column in the exact center of the room. It was a huge marble edifice with Easy Glider's face chiseled on it. And on top of it, a foot or two above the catwalk, stood an old withered stallion, brown coat and pea green mane were in total disarray, when he's tightly bound to his sides with what looked like a wire. A thick chain ran from his neck up to the catwalk above his head. Since the day he fell to the pillar, the chain would hang him. A few wires also ran around the pillar, connected to some boxes near the middle that read, Fisher Mining. Those might be explosive charges, Raindrops thought. So, when those bombs explode, the pillars collapse and the ponies will be hanged, Cheerily murmured. The teacher craned her neck to look at the captives. None of us seemed to notice their sneaking entrance yet. Does any pony see a timer? Or a ladder? asked Max. His head darted around as he looked around the room. Come on, we need to find a way up there. Let's look for a way to cut those chains first, whispered Cheerily. There's no point going up if we can't actually free those ponies. Point. Max began rummaging around through the tool cabinets on their side of the room. This is completely insane! Raindrops burned, still staring at the ponies trapped in the gorgeous room. It's like something a 6-year-old would come up with. I suppose they let Goliath decide the method of execution then, said Cheerily. It makes sense. Hanging is a traditional, just way of killing a bad pony. And Goliath thinks these are all bad ponies. And he knows how to use explosives, said Max. So that's the mechanism to knock out the pillars. Raindrops stared. This is nuts, Seamus. I don't believe this. She found herself reminded of Snails' Bug Amusement Park, which had been similarly inventive, yet a smaller scale and infusing higher yield explosives and death traps. What's wrong with this guy? The pony on the column nearest the front entrance glanced over. Oh my! Cheerily? She gasped. She was a tall, cream-colored pony with a frazzled red mane, a remnants of glasses still pressed above her muzzle. Cheerily! Thank the stars! Duty! Said Cheerily. Hey! A unicorn ran out from a door on the opposite side of the room. It was average size of Bill, utterly nondescript, and even his key marks seemed to blade into his gray coat. His horn was also unremarkable. While bigger than the motor ponies, it wasn't quite as long as the crane operators. And the only really distinguishable thing about him was the trembling eyes. You're not supposed to be here! He yelled as he approached him. This is private! This is... You must be Agent Sneak Attack, said Cheerily, as the prisoners above looked down and began to whisper hurriedly to each other. No need to introduce yourself. Twilight told us about you. She smiled thinly. Twilight survived, by the way. I wonder if she'll be able to pick you out of the lineup. No pony was supposed to get hurt. The shadow bolt swelling, abruptly reversing and backing up against the pillar, saw Red Magician's imperious face. That wasn't the plan! I only wanted to capture her! No pony's supposed to get hurt? Raindrops swept a hoof at the ponies about to be hanged. Then what equestrian is this all about? Just scaring them! They're criminals! Thieves! They got away with it! We only wanted to show them that they couldn't keep doing bad things to innocent ponies. I didn't want anybody to die! Really? Said Max. Because I heard about trains. Not my idea! That was the third guy! I don't even know his name! The shadow bolt almost looked sick. All I did was get information on where the criminals were. Maybe distract the door ponies. Hush up neighbors that heard scuffles. I never hurt any pony. Look, none of this was supposed to... Cheerily held up a hoof. I understand. You just wanted to scare them, not kill them. I'm sure these executions were all Goliath's idea. Goliath, and the other guy. The one who threw chains at you. Of course. Cheerily. Raindrops followed her as he approached the shadow bolt. Max stayed behind and frantically hunted for a tool to get used to cut the chains and free the trapped ponies. Cheerily discreetly glanced behind her, then said, Goliath knew the hanging was the proper way of eliminating the bad ponies in Equestria. It's how Luna does it, after all. Yes! In explosions? Well, every adventure book from Daring do to the young adventures of Star Swirly Beard, so that's the best way of getting rid of evil monsters. Exactly! Cheerily nodded, but glanced back at Raindrops. The other men recognized the hard glint in her eye. But there's one thing that confuses me, she continued. I can't help but notice that on the ponies closer to the door, the knot of the noose is under the chin, so they'll die instantly when the pillars collapse. But on the ponies further from the door, the knot's on the back of the neck, so they asphyxiate, which is a more painful way to die. Granted, I suppose a pony like Goliath might like the idea that worse ponies suffer more. But my question is, how did Goliath know how to persist in the knots like that? Not the kind of thing a mining specialist with mental abilities pick up. She tilts her head. Any idea? Agent attack? That's absurd, said Attack. Why would you think that knot persistent means anything? You read too many. Oh, I dated a hangman for a while, said Cheerily. Now, answer the question. The Shadow Bolt was silent for a few moments. You wouldn't be trying to lull us into a false insecurity by pretending you're not as homicidal as your colleagues, would you? Cheerily's grin was sickly sweet. Well, when Sneak Attack spoke again, all nervousness was gone from his voice. Goliath, he called, there's bad ponies in this room. Get 'em! From behind another door, the one labeled Staff Break Room, a huge roar bellowed through the cave. The prisoner screamed and cringed, and even Raindrops was taken back. Whoa! She thought, the pony's got some lungs. Cheerily looked back at Max and Raindrops and Max. Get to the prisoners! I'll handle attack! The door to the break room burst down, and the Titanic pony stormed through. Raindrops saw a black cloak, a red mane, and a pair of heavy boots on thick legs. A crumpled face that looked like he had taken few too many of his own mortars to the head. His horn was still short, angular, flat at the top. Raindrops wondered if the tip had actually been cut off at some point. Then the pony bellowed again, and dug a few deep divots into the carpets with his hose. And all other thoughts fled her mind. Cheerily! Raindrops turned to see Max. He was holding a pair of heavy bolt cutters by means of a loop of wire attached to the handles and wrapped around his neck. I've got cutters! Good! I'll fight attack in! I'll rescue the prisoners! Got it! Said Max, hurrying towards the nearest wall. Raindrops! Take Goliath! What? Screamed Raindrops as Goliath's horn began to glow, and Cheerily ran towards Sneak Attack. Why do I have to fight Goliath? I can fly, Because you're the only one of us strong enough to hurt him, said Cheerily. And her next sentence was cut short by Sneak Attack, struck a hoof on her muzzle that would have broken it had she not dodged. Let's do it! Raindrops looked at Goliath and knew the next few minutes would be painful. So he would suffer, and maybe even get badly hurt, for the sake of criminals, thieves, and pony scum. For a moment she could feel nothing but blinding hate towards the vigilantes, towards the criminals they had attacked, to the point where she sympathized with the desire to just blow up the cave and ensure no pony had to deal with him again. But the moment passed, and with a low growl, she leapt at Goliath. It was like no fight Raindrops had ever been in before. Goliath wasn't an intelligent fighter. He acted on impulse, striking direct blows at Raindrops with no sense of strategy. She didn't seem to know any martial arts, instead used simple kicks and bucks that Raindrops, slow as she was, could casually dodge. And though Goliath was a unicorn, he didn't use any magic, not even his motor spell. After Raindrops got close enough that Goliath would be likely to be caught in his own splash damage. But he didn't need to be smart, or strategic, or magical. He was strong, and with more physical strength than any opponent Raindrops had ever gone hoof to hoof with, except for Corona herself. Even the necromantic monstrosities of Grogar had nothing on Goliath. A kick slammed past her barrel and smashed through the carpet and concrete on the cave floor, sending tugs of rumble everywhere. Raindrops had danced to one side, then at least a blistering 1-2 combination on the priest's face, slamming both her front hooves to the side of his muzzle in rapid succession. Goliath just roared again in articulate anger, and smashed his head at Raindrops. It barely clipped her, but she still found herself stumbling away, and she had to throw herself to one side before Goliath's follow-up smashed her to the ground. Goliath! Yelled Sneak Attack, who had dropped the martial arts stance and was circling cheerily. On the wall, there's a very bad pony up there who makes fools cry. Blast him! Goliath snapped his head up, and Raindrops looked too. See that Max had given up his search for a ladder, scurrying straight over the camera wall towards the catwalks. As Raindrops waxed, Max reached for a crack that was barely a hoof wide, slipped and almost fell, but never gained his balance. The Goliath's horn hummed as the pony charged up for another shot. Raindrops flew into Brute, wrapped her hose around his neck, swinging around him so she was onto his back, then bending upwards with all her might. Slowly, by pitting the entirety strength of Goliath's neck, she managed to crane the growing Goliath's head up a little bit. Horn flaccid and more blasted at the wall, strike just above Max, knocking a hole in the mural and erasing Luna's face from the painting, but missing the Baron's body by inches. Goliath flung himself backwards, almost crushing Raindrops under his weight. The Weatherman managed to roll to one side, but this time, the Goliath flailed a hoofire, caught her in the upside of her head, just as a glancing blow, but Raindrops' head still slammed back into the concrete as he saw stars. For a moment, she lay stunned on the ground and felt nothing, but then the pain hit her, cutting through the numbness by the blow. Raindrops struck herself away from the next attack, struck back at the beast with a blow that caused even the Goliath to stumble backwards. Her vision had taken on a reddish tinge. As the pain fed into her anger, revealed more. I don't care what's wrong with you. I'm taking you and all you bastards down! She dropped the next blow, then kicked upwards, smacking Goliath in the chin and launching a roar of pain. Goliath slammed down on her with massive boots, and the battle continued. Why did you betray the government? Asked Shirley, snapping a hoof out in a faint. You're supposed to uphold the nation's laws. Laws! I've been waiting all thick to do that joke. Are you satisfied with yourself? No, I want to do the full version. Come on. You betrayed the law. Law! Uphold the laws, says Sneak Attack. Don't talk to me about the laws. You sit in your rural hamlet, where the worst crime that ever happens was when your drunken representative vandalizes a town fountain. You know nothing about what goes on behind the scenes in Canterlot. Charlie leapt down, striking him in a move designed to flip on his back. Sneak Attack deflected the first two blows, then grabbed Shirley's hoof on the third, flipped her, threatening to break her shoulder as he landed badly, but she didn't. She twisted in the air, slammed another hoof on the side of Sneak Attack's head, knocking him to the right and causing him to lose his grip on the teacher. In a moment, both ponies were back up and circling again. I worked as a shadow bolt for 30 years. I tracked down all kinds of bad ponies. Smugglers, forgers, thieves, hitters, all of them. I sat alone in the prison. And then our idiotic government kept letting them out. His attack strong at Shirley. His attack was hair slow, but Shirley saw in his stance that he was trying to bait her to explain the flaw, twisted aside. I lost count of how many ponies I caught were sentenced to house arrest, or even worse, probation, because they were sorry, or didn't mean it, or they only committed crimes because they were desperate. His face twisted into a snarl. While our judges and our nobles and even our princesses are so concerned about being kind, about giving second chances and trying to rehabilitate, not ruin a pony's life for one bad deed, crime goes on. Every pony knows that. If they're caught, they just need a sob story and they'll get out in a week, with a stern warning and a slap on the fetlock. He struck at Shirley with a lightning flash flow to the head. Shirley ducked, waiting for Sneak Attack to cast a quick grappling spell on her front leg and pull her closer. The teacher tried to evade, but Sneak Attack struck a very blast blow at the side of her head, just the right spot so that, even if it wasn't a very hard blow, reverberated through Shirley's skull sent her reeling backwards. She was disoriented. Her vision swam, but she knew, because she knew the second half of this particular technique, that he would know she was blind for a moment and would step up, for I kicked to her face so that she couldn't see. So she struck forwards, hoping against hope she predicted his move correctly. And even as her vision cleared, she felt a hoof slam into a pony's face. Sneak Attack sprang back, circling her again, now a trickle of blood slowing out his muzzle. What we're doing is right. When the public sees what happened, they'll be scared. They'll think twice before they defraud a business, or steal from a assault, or assault a friend in an argument. We can keep this going until all the criminals are gone. Until all the victims are avenged, and all the other ponies know better than to break the law. Shirley dropped back, but since her back legs sprang forwards, Sorry, sneak attacks attempt to knock her to his side, headbutting him. The Shampoo staggered backwards. And all these ponies deserve to be hung for what they did? Just look at him. Sneak attack jerked his head from the furthest pillar toward the door, which, unlike the rest of that, held 2 ponies instead of 1. Both its ponies were rough-looking stallions, the Luca brothers, monsters who smuggle salt, weapons, and everything else across borders, for rival operators in the hospital. Complete monsters through and through. Last week I learned that the government's backing off on their life sentences. They get off with 15 measly years each, because still has the Griffin friends to help us deal with Corona. Sneak attack's eyes flashed. You know what I think? Slap around till they give us whatever information they need to make Griffiths work with us. I'll come away forever or hang them. Isn't that more likely to get results? Deter crime? Avenge their victims? They're not all like that, said Shirley, deflecting a series of attacks, striking back at the Shadow Bolt, who slipped to one side before the blow could land. What about me? I was a Hilligan in my roof, but if I'd been in jail, who would stop the tyrant's son? I'm sure you could find some other mayor who represents laughter without restoring a former criminal. Sneak attack ducked under Shirley's next blow. So that's it? You don't see any chance of redemption? You don't find any reason to believe that they could change their ways, better themselves? No. You just think murder. That's it. And that's all this is. It's just you being a senseless murderer. You're a killer. You're just hiding it behind false terms of justice. Well, tell me how this is justice. Tell me how this is justice for their families, for their friends. You can't you? Because that's what people like you are. You think death is always the best way. Thing is, ponies like you want to push. So when you're so important, you have to overlook your crimes. Lies. Other ponies can do what you do without leaving destroyed lives in their wake. Charlie scowled. What about Twilight Sparkle? You also tried to kill her, as he never destroyed any lives. See, she almost disgraced your village. Yes, and we forgave her for that. And nobody died. I don't see the problem here. Not only did she help defeat a world-killing abomination that overpowered 3 separate alicorns, but she showed herself to be genuinely repentant. She worked hard to make friends and repay the community for the deaths she incurred. She became a brilliant teacher, a skilled librarian. Who cares? I do! Yelled Sneak Attack. She's a criminal. You hicks want to forgive her? It means you don't understand anything about justice. Oh, give me a break. You're not speaking about justice. This is vengeance. That's all you care about. People like you always get this wrong. You get into your heads, you think that killing somebody, beating them up, breaking them up, that's true justice. You think that is what it is, but it's not. It's vengeance. Cold, hard, ruthless vengeance. And guess what? Nobody gets anywhere with that. Nobody really gets scared. Nobody ever gets frightened by that idea. They get angry. And all they do is just want to fight again. Because they want to prove that they could do what somebody else failed at. His heart glowed and telekinesis pulled at Shirley's legs again. And she had to throw herself back to break his grip and avoid being tugged close enough for him to pummel her. Maybe it's not fair to her, but was she fair to the ponies whose buildings she's wrecked? Is it fair to all the innocents in Equestria that they're at risk of being victims of crime? Because we don't prosecute the bad ponies harshly enough? And when does it stop? Better be fair to them. There's a Delante heiress who plays with forbidden magic. Charlie said nothing for a moment. She set up her next attack. When she was ready, she said, for your sake, I hope Luna abdicates for your case according to her standards, not your own. She attacked Flurry of blows, and the two bowed across the room. And that's another thing. Who gave you the right? Who gave you the freaking right to determine who is right and who is wrong? Who gave you the right to determine who gets to live and who gets to die? Maybe we should put you in the same category. Let's see how you like it. Max neared the top of the room and pushed off from the wall, plummeting through space for a moment before he crashed to the side of the catwalks. The impact knocked the breath out of him, but he forced himself to climb upwards and crawl into the thin paths extending out in the cave. Okay, he muttered. Just gotta free these guys. A blast of energy sliced over his head and burned to the wall behind him. Turning, Max saw the Pony had been adopting snails before. Tall, lithe, with a long pointed horn. His face was still blurred by some spell, as were his coat and mane, but Max could tell from his build it was the same pony. Hey, said the other pony, wanna go for round 2? Max grit his teeth and ran at the pony, but the catwalks were so narrow he had nowhere to dodge when the enemy saw another blast of magic at him. He took the shot in the right shoulder and was almost blasted off the catwalk, clinging on through sheer force of will. I'm stopping you, he hissed, no matter what. Big words for a little pony. The enemy fired another blast, which Max managed to dodge by throwing himself backwards. You're lucky I didn't run you over back in the freight tunnels. Luck had nothing to do with it. Max, gritting his teeth, pushed himself to his host. His blast hurt, but he was strong enough to throw me off the catwalks. I'm faster than him. I might be able to chase him down. You've hurt innocent ponies in this nation. I'm bringing you in. Oh, is that so? The pony blasted another shot at Max, who cried out in pain as it struck him. But advanced as soon as it was gone. You're screaming in pain, and you could barely stand. Now give up. I might let you walk away. Not going to happen. Max stepped forwards, ignoring the painful, burning feeling from his coat. I hope I'm not actually on fire. He took another few steps, this time pushing through the next energy blast. Once I set my mind on something, I never give up. The enemy plane limped backwards a few steps, continuing to fire at Max. Your funeral or yours. When the next blast of energy hit him, Max didn't even flinch. Raindrops finally lost the perfect shot and hit Goliath at his knee joint. The pony roared in pain. Gotcha! He hissed Raindrops as he stood over the monster. Then more loudly, Stand down, give up, or I'll destroy you. Goliath made no sign of having heard. His heart began to glow. Raindrops' eyes widened as the mortar blast appeared, then fell at her host. Oh no. The mortar blast sent Goliath rocking to the side, where he skidded to the ground but got to his host in a moment. Raindrops tried to fly away, but she was slow, and while the blast itself didn't hit her, she was battered by the rubble and kicked up. Really, she cast to the ground and heard the familiar hum of another mortar being summoned. Desperate, she clawed her way back to the air and took off, dodging and weaving in an effort to slow off the shells. She tried to wheel around and get closer to Goliath, but it was filling the air with smaller, weaker blasts that he could summon quickly, were still strong enough to keep her away. She backed up, working out her next move, then floored through the room as the shell seized her. Come on! She roared. Get it close, Raindrops! Called cheerily. Both she and Sneak Attack had acute cuts and bruises, but neither looked seriously hurt yet. At least the Raindrops had Snap assistant. That the Weathermare had flown past the duel and headed towards the great big metal door that opened up at the Canterhorn. Dodging down just before a blast from the Goliath slammed in her metal. She heard Goliath lumbering after her, or circling around in the first column from the door to dodge the shrapnel from the next blast. I need to figure out a way to fight this nut. Maybe... Raindrops swept around, dove under the blast. Even as it pounded the columns, he slammed to the Goliath. One hoof connected solidly with the base of his horn, which was starting to glow an ugly, brownish red. The air punched a square in his throat. Goliath gagged and staggered backwards. Raindrops pressed the advance, hitting him twice more in. She heard beeping behind her. Glancing back, she saw the explosive charge attached to the column had been hit, was beeping. Max? I think this one's live! She flared away to rise up and rescue the pony, but Goliath tackled her, slamming her to the ground with a growl, showing pain through her shoulders. With a cry of pain, Raindrops punched at Goliath's face. Max! Hurry! Max had drawn several feet of his opponent, who was slightly less cocky and more nervous the closer Max got it. You wanna get it? You hear that? The pony hissed as he shot up a fast, weak-shouldered energy at Max. You're gonna get it, and you're gonna suffer! Max grit his teeth as he moved closer. The other pony was running out of space to back up. Just a little more. You're done. The other pony took another step back, but his injured leg bent and he stumbled. Before he got up, Max leapt over him and kicked him down with a blow to his face. The pony gasped as his eyes fluttered shut. Now, hissed Max. No, he was probably going to regret taking all those blasts in a few moments. I'm going to... Oh, Max! Called Raindrops. Think this one's live! Max turned and saw Raindrops was bounding alive near a column. The column was damaged. Max thought he could hear a distant beeping from that direction. Uh-oh. Max! Hurry! Raindrops called. Knowing the down pony might be able to attack him again if he woke up, but also knowing he might not have time to tie up, or otherwise secure the pony before the bomb went off, Max grit his teeth and ran towards the column as quickly as he could. When he got there, he bent down one hoof as far as he could. Grab on! The pony, the cream-colored mare who had noticed Charlie earlier, slung a hoof and grabbed Max. Thanks, whoever you are. Bear Max, a new par. Mounty swung her up, then took his bolt cutters and cut the iron chain from around her neck. Sorry, The bomb exploded below, toppling the column over with a huge crash. Max looked down, couldn't see Raindrops or Goliath in the dust and rubble. I hope Raindrops is okay, he thought. Then the next bomb and the next column began to beep. Max stared. These things are in a series! But there was no time to complain. He just ran, dashing over the catwalks to the next column and pulling at the pony. That cost him, he saw, before cutting his iron noose. They had no time to chat. The bombs exploded, the column collapsed, and now the next explosive was being... Get to the other catwalks and hide there, he yelled at the ponies as he rescued before running off again, racing to the bombs to the next prisoner. His body ached all over. He was running on fumes, and there were at least 20 more ponies he needed saving. It looked impossible, but Max just grit his teeth and kept running. I don't give up, he thought. Not now, not ever. Shirley narrowed her eyes when she saw Sneak Attack's stance. Behind her, columns were exploding, but he had no time to worry about that. That assistant, Oh, that little rat. I know what he's doing. She carefully prevented herself from smiling, and how to beat it. How can you justify hanging ponies who last did something wrong 25 years ago? She demanded, deliberately leaving herself the slightest opening on her right side. You know what gets me? I know some people who complain about Starlight's redemption that think the same way as Sneak Attack does. They don't even realize just how cruel they sound when they sound and act and talk just like this. How can you justify letting him go? Sneak Attack feinted left, and then attacked right. Shirley twisted away, but not fast enough. The blow struck her exactly at the spot where her front leg connected to her body. Ponies had nerve clusters there, and the Sneak Attack could concentrate the full force of a lethal martial arts blow at that nerve. The teacher's world exploded in pain. Ah! Shirley didn't have to pretend to be in pain on that one. Sneak Attack smirked. Guess they didn't teach that one at your weekend JoJo's. I'm still up, Shirley wheezed. More columns exploded behind her. Oh, it might not do too much damage, but I've never seen a bad guy be able to shake off that kind of pain. Sneak Attack tried it up. Here's the damn it. Shirley let down, smashing him in the face with a hoof and knocking him over. Proceed to unleash a fury of blows at him. Actually, she said, so correcting a fool who had 2 and 2 and achieved -12. No, this is the damage. I do know that move. Starting through the pain is one of the first things I learned that... Sneak Attack made no comment. He was too busy futile trying to reflect Shirley's blows. I gotta say this. Oh, one of those weekend dojo places? Did you learn it? She smiled thinly. For your sake, I hope so. Raindrops heard explosions from behind her, and, abandoning her plan to break away for Goliath, hugged under his body like a shield. He grasped at her, roared, squeezed hard enough to make stars appear in her eyes. Then cried out as the marble column collapsed on top of him. When the rubble stopped falling and Goliath had gone still, Raindrops carefully extricated herself from Goliath's body into debris. That's a sign to see the next column blow up. Her head was pounding, and the explosives didn't help. Okay, think. Goliath is down. I need to get up there. But her wings weren't cooperating. They felt oddly heavy. Just a minute to clear my head. She stood still for a moment, watching Charlie get the advance of Sneak Attack, seeing Max racing across the catwalks. He was staying ahead of the bombs, but only barely. And Raindrops could see him stumbling occasionally as he ran. He's at his limit, but if I could fly! As he flapped her wings and noticed they seemed to be functioning again. I could get up and roar! Raindrop snapped her head to see Goliath clawing out of the rubble. He was battered, bruised, and bleeding. His coat was matted and with blood and dust, but he was still up. Though he stumbled a few times as he rose, this didn't seem to dismiss his power in any way. Roar! What does it take to take you out? Screamed Raindrops as another column collapsed. I'm getting tired of Goliath! The voice came from up the catwalks. Raindrops recognized it as the pony who sent trains at them earlier that day. On the catwalks! Blast them! Goliath snapped his head and began launching a mortar. Raindrops flew out, but he knocked her aside with a booted hoof. Raindrops cried out as the boot connected with her barrel. And before she knew it, she was sliding over the ruined carpet into another pile of marble rubble. Charlie! Help! Charlie nodded and jumped back, seeking to connect dagger to his hooves. Charlie slid under him, and he was a solid kick, lifting him up in the air. She rose on her hind legs, grabbed him, and hurled him across the room, just as Goliath fired his motor blast, and arced up, right at sneak attack. Shadowball's horn glowed and motor slowed, as the attack was trying to redirect it with telekinesis, but he exploded before he could get far enough away. And while the blast itself didn't touch sneak attack, the shockwave sent him flying. The shadow bolt was hurled to a wall, where he slid to the ground and collapsed in a heap. Goliath looked puzzled. Who? He said. Raindrops didn't answer. Staggered to her host, he picked up a huge chunk of marble, summoned every last ounce of her strength, then bashed the brute's head with the rubble. Goliath was still for a moment. Then his eyes rolled up in his head. Ow! He said, collapsed. Raindrops slowly dropped off the piece of muzzle. Everything hurt, but she knew she had to keep going. After all, the worthless scum up there need my help, she thought to herself in anger. Okay, I'll get up there and help Max. A blast of energy sounded from above her head. Max Rasp had 2 empty columns, believed he'd be able to gain a few seconds by not having to stop and haul any pony up. Then dashed to the last one. 2 stallions stood on it, both bulky and scared, both sinking in terror. It took Max a moment to place their faces. DeLucas, he managed to reach the catwalk over our heads. You don't have to see he's looking for you. Get us out of here, begged Maria Lucia. We'll tell you everything we know. Max knelt down, and blast of energy smashed into the catwalk, and then bounced him off of it. He fell through empty space for a moment before grabbing onto it with one hoof. Bolt colors almost choking him as the wire wrapped around his neck. The rest of him dangled through empty space. No! He hissed. I can't fall off. Not now. Get up already, hissed the enemy, dragging himself a wounded leg until he was standing over the Baron. You're pathetic! Max said nothing. The one host, still holding onto the catwalk, was starting to slip. You want to be a hero, something? The post stomped on Max's hoof. The noble cried out, You're weak, pathetic, but you think you're a good enough fighter to beat me? He chuckled as the column behind him. The last empty column exploded. If you knew who I was, you know you were doomed. I'm one of the best warriors in Equestria. You're no fighter at all. No, I'm not. Max shut his eyes. This is going to hurt. I don't fight, so I endure. Max heaved himself with one leg, grabbed the pony with his other front leg, and pulled as hard as he could. The pony screamed as dragged off the catwalk and hurled down, barely managed to grab on the column before plummeting to his doom. Max hurled himself backwards and also landed on a platform, so there was no time to get back up and save DeLucas by pulling him up. They cut their nooses with his bolt collar. He yelled, Climb up! Get on my back! Mary climbed on his back, leapt and grabbed the catwalk. The enemy attacked him with a savage kick, but Max grabbed it, shoved him, knocked him off the column. Battaglia was climbing up, using Max as a stepping stool to propel himself to safety. Max reached up. Where your hoof? Pull up! Lucas looked at each other, then ran. Then the column exploded. No! Max felt himself falling. Since the catwalk receded, it was a giant walking away. No. I can't die here. There's so many mountains to climb. And there's Posey and... Thoughts of the Duchess filled his mind. I can't stop now. Then he felt some pony grabbing him. Raindrops was landing with him in her hose. He looked up and saw all the ponies had gotten out the pillars. The enemies were defeated, even as the last column fizzed to collapsing behind him. For a moment he couldn't believe it. I'm not dead, he managed. Although if Posey sees me like this, I might as well be. Hope she's not the jealous type. Not for lack of trying, Raindrops said. Shirley tried over. All bad guys defeated, she chirped. So look at the prisoners out here. Max smiled. He knew he would be hurt very badly very soon. But for now, he enjoyed the victory. Sounds like a plan. Dame Shirley. Raindrops looked at the defeated ponies before her and told herself she should let go of her anger. Yes, she'd been battered and beaten in order to save a bunch of worthless criminals. Yes, DeLucas, as several of the others probably deserved, if not to hang, than to suffer much worse punishments than they received. Yes, she had to back burner snails even as the fool suffered for the slings and arrows of his classmates. Yes, it was manifestly unfair, but it's over, she breathed. Live and sneak attack had been securely bound with wire and thrown into one corner. The same would happen to their third opponent once they dug him out of the rubble of the class column. Shirley found a recessed stairwell to the catwalks and was now leading the prisoners to the safety of the ground. It's over, she told herself. Just calm down, let it go, get back to snails. She heard chuckling behind her, turned to see Snake Attack, looking at her through two black eyes. Idiot. You're the nut with the little brother. Do you have any idea whose lives you saved? DeLucas. They're terrible, I know. Shut up! Sneak Attack chuckled, harsh, violent sound. But it wasn't Subpoena today. You know what she did once you saw her? She put a tail on her. She knew you lead us right to DeLucas. If she shows up, we'll pound her too. Well, she won't show up here. Your brother seems to be absent now, isn't he? Shadowball grinned. Subpoena fight him. She's a traitor, you could say. One brother for two brothers. That's how she rolls. Right outside her eyes, avoid her visit, climbing to a sea of red. Shut up. Look, upset that the ponies who lives you worked so hard to save are the same ponies who attack your brother, throw him in the cage, threaten to kill him if you don't give back to Lucas, and then... Raindrops brought one hoof and slanted at Sneak Attack's head. The shadow ball fell silent. Raindrops had turned, without saying a word, trotted over to where the former prisoners were descending the staircase. She nodded briefly to cheerily to Max, and got back to his host, and was trying to conduct the senses who had been captured and why. Mary and Luca was at the end of the group. While he climbed all the way back down and was back on ground level, Raindrops waited for the others to get ahead. Then grabbed him and slammed him against the wall. Does your organization ever take false hostages in order to force their parents to do something? She asked. Mario stared at Raindrops. He was a big stallion, but seemed cowed by Raindrops' presence. Answer me, Raindrops said in a calm as voice as she could manage. Hey, said Metelli, but when he approached Raindrops, she shoved him away and fell over, too drained by captivity to fight. Hey, shut up! Raindrops turned to Mario. You answer me now. Mario seemed to be debating whether to lie or not. It's been known to happen, he said at last. I think Polly tried that in Ponyville, but I've never done anything like that. Raindrops said nothing, but her blazing eyes spoke for her. Mario pressed his back against the wall. Look, if you have some personal grievance... Raindrops saw Mario through a red mist. She said nothing, just approached him until they were standing muzzle to muzzle. She gently pressed a hoof to his throat. Mario's eyes were wide. Look, I'll confess everything. I'll go to jail. No deal or anything. I'll go away forever. Raindrops pressed his throat, lightly but noticeably. Look, she growled. I just saw a bunch of ponies who thinks it's okay to kill thieves, forgers, smugglers, and bookies. They're probably wrong about that. But for ponies like you, her eyes narrowed. Maybe they had the right idea.